Hi, I'm Michelle Hardy, and today I wanted to talk to you about the 7 books that have impacted my life so much. I basically live by these books when it comes to love, relationships, business, and God. Now we're going to start out slow and then we're going to speed up to the good stuff. Now, the first 2 books that I want to talk to you about concerning business are Hug Your Customer and Hug Your People. I've read both of these books and I got them at a time when I really needed to do something. You'll notice that when you need something in your life, somehow a book just comes across your path. And so this book, I don't know where I was at in my life, but I really was dealing with a lot of business things. And so the gist of these 2 books by Jack Mitchell is that when someone comes into your business, you should give them a hug. A literal hug is fine, but how are you treating them? Are you treating them well where they feel like you've given them a hug when you left? It's like, oh my God, I wanted to hug that person. One story that sticks out to me in this book, Hug Your People, is that, or Hug Your Customer. It's one of the other books, but where Jack's mother would sit in the back of the store and she would sew different items, like you come and buy a coat, she would do the alterations. So this one particular day, this guy that they do business with all the time, he was like, Jack, I need a coat. Jack took the coat off his back and he said, you can take this coat, you can have this coat. And so he took the coat and then he was on his way. Later on, he probably came back and got his own coat because they only had that one type and Jack had it on. There was no other one like that. So, but he took the coat off his back and gave it to this gentleman. And it was just saying that, I care about you. I'm concerned about you. I want you to look good wherever you're going to do whatever you're going to do. And I trust you enough to bring back my coat, right? So let's just be mindful of when you're in business, you want to keep your customer. You can't say, oh, I don't care about them. I'm not worried about them. They're the one that they're patronizing you and they're spending their money that they've earned, however they've earned it. So you want to show them that you appreciate them in some type of way. And Jack just did it the best way he knew how, is giving whatever he had. And then his mother was just sitting back in the back, just, sewing the items, and it was just that kind of personable, family owned business that made you want to go there. Okay, the next 2 books I'm so excited about. Free Prize Inside and The Purple Cow. You're going to hear not music, you're going to hear noise outside, so I apologize. But Free Prize Inside and The Purple Cow are one of the best books that will stand the test of time as far as marketing. Seth Godin is the marketing guru. He's an expert. He's all over online, so you can find him everywhere. So the free prize inside, when I bought this book, it came in a cereal box. I'm like, I want the book. I don't even care what's inside. I just want I want this box, this cereal box. And it's like, you don't even want to get rid of the book or the box because it's kind of like nobody else has ever done this. It was just so unique, right? So that's one thing that just made me want to buy it. What do you offer? What do you offer that makes someone clamor so much that they're willing to spend their money to get it? What's your here, hey, come see me? How are you getting people's attention in order for them to buy your product, right? What are you doing that's unique outside of everyone else? The Purple Cow, this book is unique because we don't see any purple cows. You drive by the pasture on the freeway, and what do you see? Brown cows, white cows, multicolored cows. They're just, you're never going to see a purple one. And so, what is your purple cow? What do you have that's different, that stands out outside of all these other people who were selling their product, doing their thing? I'm always talking about books. So, what makes my book unique? The best thing I can do to attract you to my book is to make my cover look great. Whatever it is you're selling. If you're selling a shoe, how does your shoe differ from other people's? Is it lightweight? Is it better for people who, have trouble walking or what have you? So you want to be really unique in your offering and then just give it to the masses. And then they'll be clamoring for it because it's not anything like anybody else. And they'll probably pay you a high price for it. Why? Because nobody else has it. This book by R.C. Blakes Jr. is probably the best book for relationships I've ever read. And I mean, when I think about relationships, I'm like, is this the only book I've read? I don't know. But based on this book, I told you there was a lot of noise going on here. But based on this book, where he just dissects every relationship that you could have, every person that you could encounter, as far as that's trying to get at you, that's trying to date you. You read about every person, then go back and look at your life and then say, okay, yeah, I dated that person. Okay, yeah, I did. I dated these people. And then see if there's a pattern there, right? Because they always say, you're always dating the same person. So it's just the same person, different face. So he basically gives you an idea of what type of person you might have been dating and what their motive is. And so when you know this information, you're like, oh, okay, I've been dating this person. And I mean, he just goes through the gamut. And then he also puts himself in there because he's been these different types of men. So it doesn't have to be just men, it can be women too, or however you are identifying, right? So read this book and then, inbox me or what have you to say, hey, I read the book and we can chat about it because it's really a beautiful book. It doesn't take long to read, but it's very powerful as far as it helps you make a decision on whether you should be in a relationship or not. Now, I've mentioned this book before. It's by Thich Nhat Hanh, and was a monk, or is a monk. And so, this book, when I got to chapter 5, and I think I've mentioned this in another video before, that basically said, I'm not dating anymore because of this book. It really taught me that if you can't love this way, then you probably should not be in a relationship. And he doesn't say that directly, but he shows you how to love someone. And then it made me think, have I been loving people properly? Have I been doing that the way that I should do, the way that he says? And you say, well, oh, well, he's not the end all be all person to relationships. When you read the book, then we'll come back and talk to me because it really makes you just kind of sit back and say, okay, owning your stuff, right? Not the other person, but your stuff. Should I be actually in a relationship if I cannot love a person like this? Is it fair to the person if I'm not offering love in this way? So, like I said, read the book and then we can chat about it because it is beautiful and it is very short. You're going to get through it in a day, but it impacted my life so much. So, I do not date. I am not even considering it because of this book and the book that I mentioned in another video, right? So, yeah, just let me know what you think because it's beautiful. The last book that I want to mention, which is very profound, and I think it's probably one of the most special books that I've read. And it's been, I don't know, maybe I'll just say 15 years since I've had this book. I've given this book, gifted it to so many people. And I hope that they got something out of it because it just impacted me in such a way. I was always eating. You know, you're dieting, then you eat, and you go back, and then you diet again, right? Trying to figure out a way to stay this tiny self, this tiny person. And so when I read Janine's book, I was depressed. And so after I read it, I got off the couch. I ended up getting a job, moving, and then on my way, it really impacted me. What I got out of this book was that food was not my problem, right? And we'll always think, oh, this is the issue. I can't stay away from this. No, that's just one thing you're using to pacify yourself because you don't want to deal with something else. Janine basically is saying that God is a woman. Some people may beg to differ and they may argue with me, and that's fine. But when you understand how she says it, you understand what your position is with God. You are one and the same. So you are not outside of God. If you are one and the same, this body that I'm supposed to respect, that I'm supposed to treat well, that I'm supposed to take care of is God's body, right? So if that's the case, because it is written, then yes, I will take care of it. I will treat myself well. I will respect myself. And I will not allow anyone else to respect me going forward, disrespect me going forward. So I got all of this out of Janine's book. Now, she's doing her own healing from whatever she's healing from, but she takes you on this journey. And trust me, at that time that I read the book, I was just like, I don't feel like reading, but I got through it. And it was very, very, it was like a present at the end of it all. And I suggest don't read to the end because you really need to understand her journey and then how you can apply your life to what she was going to. You can say, okay, well, she was dealing with this, but I'm dealing with this. So, insert yourself. So I understand who God is for me. And so I don't need anybody to pray for me. Even though people say, oh, I'm going to pray for you. And there's a noise again, so apologies. But, they'll say, oh, God showed me this about you. Well, God showed me first, right? Because God is here. I know whatever's going on with me, right? A friend of mine once told me, oh no, it wasn't a friend. It was just some random stranger that I had met. And she said, it seems like you're going through something. I said, yeah, I am, right? This was many years ago, but we're all going through something. And so she could just feel my spirit that, yeah, I'm going through something. And I just admitted it because, yes, that was my honest truth, right? And and she could have said, oh, I'm going to lay my hands on you so you are healed. But I didn't need her to do that. I already knew. So I could deny, right? Or I could be forthcoming and say, yeah, because I know what's going on with me before anybody comes and approaches me. I know all these things. So, when people say oh, God told them and God told them that, if it doesn't sit right in my spirit, no, he didn't. No, God didn't tell you none of that, right? Because God is speaking to me directly. So, like I said, I don't go and run up to get prayer or someone to lay hands on me or anything like that. You know, if my mother is praying for people, okay, yeah. But I do understand what power I hold. And so I can just believe that it is so, right? You walk in expectation and then you go. Go about your business because whatever it is, it's for you. God has it for you. So you don't need to be like, oh God, why isn't it happening? You asked once. You don't even have to say it because he knows the trajectory of your life. So, yeah, this was a little mini sermon. So, all of that I got from Janine's book. And so, when people are saying, oh, this and that, a lot of religious stuff, I'm just like, okay, whatever, you know. And it's not like I want to disregard what they're saying because they are where they are, but I just know who God is for me. And I hope that you know who God is for you so you can be at peace. And I'm not going to say that you're going to be totally at peace with everything because, we're human. Things come at us and it's like, whoo, right? But there is a different thought process when you understand who God is for you. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing this video. Take care.